So if we're taking a look at problem number 7, guys, what is the inverse operation that we need to do for solving of problem 7? Multiplication. What are we multiplying by? -2. Multiplying by -2. You don't have to raise your hand, just shout it out. We're going to multiply by -2. And whatever we do to one side, we have to make sure that we're doing it to the other side as well. So we have to multiply both sides by -2. The -2's will go ahead and simplify to a +1 for the coefficient. So you all should have gotten that r was equal to 22. Okay, for problem number 8, a lot of people were coming up and asking questions about it. They were confused as to what they were supposed to do. What operation is existing here right now? What operation do we currently see? Subtraction. We see subtraction for number 8. So what is the inverse operation to subtraction? Addition. So we are going to be adding the -3. A lot of people were thinking, oh, well, I'm just going to add a +3. But then you wound up doing an inverse and another inverse, which basically just puts it back to what it originally would have been. So you want to make sure that you are doing the inverse of the operation and not just the sign, okay? So the only time that we do the opposite of the sign is if it was written in the front and there was no operation written in front of it. Then you would do the opposite of the sign. Okay, so here we are just adding a -3 to the -8. These will get canceled out, and you'll get x is equal to a -11. So you should have gotten x is equal to -11. Number 9, we see 4/9 x. That is multiplication, so our inverse operation is going to be to divide. So we're dividing both sides by 4/9. We're going to divide 20 by 4/9 as well, and we're going to wind up getting that x is equal to 45. And then for problem number 10, this is division. So the inverse operation is to multiply. So we're going to multiply both sides by a -4. X would now be isolated. And -2.5 times -4 is going to give you a +10. Okay, so you should have gotten 22, -11, 45, and 10. Go ahead and flip it on over to the two-step equations. Okay, like I said before, you always want to do the inverse to your constant first and then the inverse to your coefficient or your divisor. So for problem number 3, the first thing that we need to do is add 15. We're going to add 15 to both sides. These 15s will then get canceled out. We will be left with 2n, now equaling a -14. And then our last step is to divide both sides by 2. And we'll get n is equal to -7. All right. Problem number 4. What's the first step? Tanner. Subtract 8. So we're going to subtract 8 from both sides. Okay, subtracting 8 from both sides. All right, that leaves us with a positive x over 4. And then 17 minus the 8 is going to go ahead and give us a 9. All right, next step. Mason, what's our next step? Mason, what's our next step? Times it by 4. We're going to multiply by 4. Multiply both sides by 4. You're going to get x is equal to 36. All right, problem number 5. First step. What are we going to do first? Nathan? Good. Subtract the 5. Even though we see subtraction here, remember that subtraction sign does not belong to the 5. It belongs to the 3y. So we're going to subtract 5 from both sides so that those 5s will get canceled out. And then 20 minus 5 is 15. And it's now equal to a -3y. Next. John-Luc? Divide it by 3. Where's he made a mistake, guys? Okay. Where did he still make a mistake, guys? Chase? Divide by -3. 3. If you don't divide by negative 3, then you're left with a negative y. Y is still not isolated. You should never have anything left with your variable. No negative signs, no other coefficients except for a positive 1. Okay, so a negative 3 you're going to divide by negative 3 on both sides. So the negative signs can cancel out as well as the 3's. And you're going to get that it's a negative 5 is equal to y, or y is equal to negative 5. Number 6. Maya, what are we going to do first? For number 6. Okay, what's your constant? Negative 2. Okay, so we want to do the inverse of the negative 2. So what would be the opposite? Positive 2. So plus 2. You're going to add 2 to both sides. Right? We're left with 4h, positive 4h, and it's now equal to negative 4. Ava, what's the next step? Divide by 4. Divide by a positive 4 because it's a positive 4 connected with the h. So we're going to have h is now equal to negative 1. Number 7. Taking a look at number 7. Hayden, what's our first step going to be? Number 7. Okay, which is to what? Subtract. Good. We want to subtract because remember, if we add 5, is it going to get rid of the 5? Is it going to make it a 0? No. If we added 5, it would just make it a 10, right? We want to make sure that we are going to subtract 5 from both sides. Subtraction on both sides. That's going to give us negative 7x is equal to 14. Daniel, next step. Good. Divide by negative 7. You're going to get that x is equal to a negative 2. Okay. Christiana, first step for number 8. Add 7. We're just going to add 7 to both sides. Adding 7 to both sides. We're left with 2/3. X is now equal to 8. Ollie, what are we going to do next? Very good. We're going to divide by 2/3 on both sides. The 2/3 will then get simplified to a value of x. And then 8 divided by 2/3 is going to come out to 12. So x is equal to 12. Okay, problem number 9. First step, Jeremy. Good. So by 3, just by 3. So we're subtracting 3 from both sides. That leaves us with x over 5 is now equal to negative 11. And next step, Angeline. Next step for here. We're going to add 5. Multiply, because what operation is it when it's a fraction like that? That was division. So it says, technically, instead of saying x over 5, I could say it's x divided by 5. So instead of dividing by 5, we do our inverse. You're always doing the opposite. You're going to multiply by 5. So we'll get x is equal to negative 55. Okay, we already did 10 yesterday, so now we're on number 11. Number 11 says, ignore the fact that they're so close to each other. 11 equals 3a plus 5. What are we going to do first? Sebastian. Subtract 5. Okay, so we're going to subtract 5 from both sides. That's going to give us 6 is now equal to 3a, because the 5's over here are going to go ahead and cancel out. Okay, Jaden, what are we going to do last? Divide by? Huh? 3. Divide by 3. Okay, and 6 divided by 3 is going to give us a 2, so we get A is equal to 2. Emma, what's our first step for problem number 12? Add 11. All right, so we now have negative 4/5. W is equal to 24. And then our last step, Amy. Divide by, not just 5/5 or 4/5, but negative 4/5. We're going to divide both sides by negative 4/5. Okay? That gives us W now isolated. It's going to equal a negative 30. That's all you guys are going to be doing today. You're going to be practicing different varieties of one-step equations, one-steps in which you have an inverse of adding and subtracting or multiplication or division. Some of them might be inverse operations involving fractional coefficients where you have, a fraction in front of the variable. Then you'll have some two-step equation practices. Just show your work. So you're going to need some paper. I would recommend taking out a couple of sheets. That way you have enough room. It shouldn't be too long. You have the entire class period to finish it. If you finish before class is over, then I always am going to say, get on to iReady My Pathway so that you can work on your iReady Math Challenge or do Prodigy.